Are not so many people, but I hope it's going to worth your time to be here listening about how to move from POC into production. This is what we are going to talk about. And I'm so honored that like Praveen Kumar is going to be with me today because he's not talking about like what we are doing at AWS, but how other customers that are using generative AI, and actually in this case, how they are using agents to improve the customer experience that they are providing right now, right? And I would like to give you an idea about where we are today. And probably it's a bit complicated, right? Because it's a bit different how different regions, how different countries, they are, getting advanced on generative AI. But essentially, if we take a look like 2 years back, right? It was mainly about, building proof of concepts, building prototypes that it used to be like super easy, right? Like you get access to the model, and it was very easy to build your generative AI assistant, your chatbot, or your RAG solution. So it was, the typical conversations about, okay, do I need to hire an AI engineer, or do you need to have, like a prompt engineer? But still, everything was super manual. Last year, it was mainly about, taking these proof of concepts, taking these prototypes, and moving them into production. But even they were not considering about, okay, how much value I'm going to generate, but at least I need to know that, it's going to work into production. And this is what most of the customers has been, building for the last 12 to 18 months. But this year is a bit different, right? And we're going to talk a bit today about what that means, AI agents, and why they are like super valuable, right? But today, the customers, they are trying to give value by using generative AI. And this is where today, TPConnects is going to tell about how they are delivering value to the end customers. And which are the typical use cases where, the customers they are building on top of generative AI? We could say like there are like two main groups, right? So from one side, we have what we call like internal use cases. And by internal use cases, I'm talking about how you can boost, for example, the productivity of your employees, boosting the productivity by, I don't know, using generative AI to generate a report summary, or using generative AI to write code. So actually, you think about like any software developer right now, the way they are writing code has changed dramatically since the last 12 to 24 months, right? But these are like use cases that they are like internal, right? Another use case that it's internal is about automation. And this is the world of AI agents that I'm going to talk later today. But then we have what we call, like external use cases. And this is super important because external use cases, you are going to put these capabilities, this like LLMs model and these different capabilities in front of your end customer, right? So the end goal is about how you can improve the customer experience, but at the same time, it can be also very risky, right? And we're going to talk also a bit about this later today. And why we know how to, advise our customers in order to build with generative AI, because as you maybe, have heard this morning on the main keynote, we have been using AI for such a long time, right? And even right now, we are using generative AI in our marketplace. So for example, if you want to have a conversation with our, customer support agents, these customer support agents, they are going to be like AI agents, actually. They're going to be able, to handle your requests, your claims, and so on. But we are also using generative AI in Amazon ads. So let's say that you want to boost one of your products. You want to generate, I don't know, an ad, for example, for selling a toaster. So you can say like, hey, I want my toaster to be in a kitchen, preparing a meal. And you can do this very easily with Amazon ads. But also in our fulfillment centers, how we are doing demand forecasting, how we are doing intelligence inventory planning, how we are defining the best route between point A into point B. Everything right now is driven by ML. And like when we have been talking to customers, they usually ask which are the main things that we need to take into consideration to be successful with AI? Because sometimes we have what we call, or what I called at least, this, a AI theater problem. That, it's very easy to start creating with AI, and you think that it's going to be super cool, but at the end, you are not generating value, right? And AI is just something that, it's a tool that needs to help us to generate value to our customers, to our people, and so on. And I would like to tackle today these 4 main pillars, that this is what we have seen about the customers that, they are generating value from AI. And the first thing is what we call time to value. In today's world, it's not about, building good products, but it's about being the first that you are able to arrive to build your products. And time to value means like you need to be like super fast, iterating, experimenting, but also deploying into production. And to do this is why we released Amazon Bedrock 24 months ago. So Bedrock is right now probably the easiest way where you can create generative AI applications on top of different foundation models. But it's not only about like getting access to different foundation models. Actually, foundation models, in some manner or the other, they're like becoming a commodity. You need to modify your models based on your data. You need to be able to evaluate the models. You need to be able to create agents in a very easy manner. And you need to like even implement RAG at the scale with many different like internal documentation. So you can do this very easily with Amazon Bedrock. And why it's very important to get access to different models? Because at the end of the day, you are going to have like different use cases, right? You may want to make like summarization. You may want to make like, I don't know, code interpretation. Maybe you just want to build a chatbot, right? So for different use cases, you will need different models. But at the end, everything is about these three main components. It's about cost, it's about the speed or latency, and it's about intelligence. And sometimes, if you want to prioritize intelligence, of course, it's going to be slower, and it's going to be more costly. So you need to balance these three main items to make sure you are going to like choose the right model. And that's why in Bedrock, we provide access to many different foundation models like Claude from Anthropic, that they are state-of-the-art models right now. But you also get access to like open source models like the one from Llama, Mistral, DeepSeek, and also like very specific models, for example, for RAG, like the one from Cohere. So you have multiple models for different use cases. But because cost is super important, you also have access to our internal models. And I really like our internal models, Nova models, because these are the models that we are using for our internal purposes. So when you are using, for example, our customer support assistant on our marketplace, it's powered by Nova. When you are using Amazon Ads, it's powered by Nova. And these models, they give you the best performance at the lower cost. And you have like different sizes based on the complexity of your queries, but also like based on the needs that you have like to be cost efficiency. One of the things that like I've seen during the last probably 18 months is like like companies from very traditional sectors like financial services, insurance, healthcare, life science. All these folks, they have invested huge amount of money on data, on building the data foundations. And like all these customers that they have invested huge amount of time on building these data foundations, for them, transitioning to AI has been supernatural. And right now they are being super successful because at the end of the day, like the only differentiator that you have is your data. I mean, like if everyone is using the same model, which is going to be your differentiator, right? That's why you need to work on your data, on the quality of your data. Needs to be accurate, needs to be on time, needs to be traceable, doesn't have to be biased. So you need to make sure that your data is going to be good enough to power your generative AI application. But also because with your data, you can customize your models. So you can do very easily prompt engineering, right? But you also may do RAG. And RAG can be like super simple if I have, like, I don't know, external documents with 50 pages. But let's say you are building a RAG solution, and instead of 50 pages, you have 100 or you have thousands of documents. Building RAG at scale can be super challenging. That's why it's super important that you have this, like accurate data. But you can make also fine-tuning. And doing everything right now, it's super simple in Amazon Bedrock. So just plug and play, you can build your RAG solution at the scale, or you can fine-tune a model, and what you only need is to have some labeled data so you can fine-tune your model. But again, data is going to be your main differentiator. Let's talk a bit about about automation that is the world of AI agents. So in some manner, this is what we have done till, like few months back, right? So you had an LLM, you were prompting the LLM, and you were getting an answer. But at the end of the day, it was not like very meaningful, right? Because it was very manual. You still need one person to prompt the model all the time. With LLMs, taking actions is a different world, right? And this is the world of agents. So new models, because they have these reasoning capabilities, they can take the problem, they can decompose the problem in many different sub-problems, and they can create a plan. They can create a plan to give a solution to this specific problem. But it's not only to give a solution to the problem. They have access to different tools. They have access to, like services or, like protocols like MCP. They have internal memory, short-term memory, but also long-term memory. So they can learn from you to give the right answer in the right situation. So this is the world of agents. When you have LLMs, that they are not only, giving you answers, but they are taking actions based on your different inputs. And we are going to see today how TPConnects, they are implementing agents at scale. And the last thing, and especially when you are like exposing this technology to the end customer, it's super important to be responsible, to make sure like, hey, we are not going to use your underlying data to train the foundation model. And the data that like is traveling from one place into the other is going to be encrypted in transit, but also in rest. But also what is even more important is like when you are creating, for example, a generative AI chatbot that is going to be exposed to your customers, you need to make sure that like it's going to be safe. It's not going to create harmful content, or it's not going to create toxic content. Or you can do like check validation, so you can ensure the answer from the model is what actually the customer is waiting for. That's why we have delivered and we have built Amazon Guardrails. So Amazon Bedrock Guardrails right now is the easiest way to create a layer between the LLM and the user to ensure that the application is going to be responsible with your company guidelines. But again, I think the most important for today is to listen how TPConnects, they are building all these different applications on top of Bedrock. So thank you so much for coming, and I go over to you, Praveen, to know more about how you are doing at TPConnects. Thank you so much. There.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, hi. Let me quickly introduce about myself. So I'm Praveen Kumar, and I am CTO and co-founder of TPConnects Technologies. So, and I also take care of the innovation and the product evolution in TPConnects. So as part of that, okay, what really TPConnects does in the industry is TPConnects is pioneer in developing software product and solutions for airline and the sellers. So as part of the innovation subject, what we have taken here is converted the legacy, the UI, the solution, the APIs into Bedrock and the agent model. So that's what we're going to see in detail. And I have the architecture, and I also have a beautiful demo which actually explains in the process of the flow. So let's quickly jump into that. So here is the trip captain and the models that we built on top of the Bedrock. So what you see here is the orchestration engine. So we have a supervised agent which controls all the sub-agents which we built underneath the supervised agents. So we have a booking agent, and we have an order management agent, and we have a reshop, order create, plus all the cancels and stuff as a sub-agents under the main agents. So what it does is, okay, the supervised agent take control of the input from the user, and based on the input, it recognizes and directs the user to the multiple agents which is connected to the supervised agent. Say, for example, we have a shopping agent which takes care of the whole shopping engine and then handed over the shopping engine to an order engine, and the order engine takes care of converting the shopping into an order. So further beyond, if there are any servicing for an existing customer, so they can come in and order retrieve, and plus the order retrieve is connected to the MySQL in the backend from text to SQL engine. So likewise, so we will see that in action in the next screen. All right, so this is the integral part of the whole solution. So we have the user input, and then it is been processed by the prompt storage. So prompt storage plays a key role in our system, because for each of the agents, so we have a specific prompts which is fed to the application. It has to react exactly the same what it has been defined for. So prompt engineering is the key thing that TPConnects actually integrated into the engine. That is a key role for the whole LLM to behave in the exact way how it is being developed for. So after the prompt engineering, we have a session engine, and then the chat plus the history records. So because you have to feed in the whole session plus the conversational history to the engine to give you the required response, and without hallucinating, so it will give you the proper response and back based upon the chat history. So we have used the foundational model, and then the foundational model is backed up by an agent methods, the functional calls. The functional calls is responsible for making an API call behind, and then parse the response, and then the response is fed back into the LLM, and then it gives the response. So yes. So this is the augmented LLM model overall, how the input goes into the system, and then the final response come out of the system. So you have a user requesting for a travel journey, let's say, for example, Dubai to Bahrain, and you have a request came in, and then the prompt actually intercept and then add the required agent request plus the conversational history and the instruction get fed into the chain of thoughts. Here, chain of thoughts actually play a key role here because for a travel API request to be called, you need to get the all required parameters before you call in the API. So let's say, for example, you have a travel date, you have the journey, and then the destination and such. So the chain of thought actually interact with the customer and get all the required input before it processes it with the API or the LLMs. So chain of thoughts, and then the action group and the knowledge base get fed into the LLM, and the LLM makes the final response and gives that one to the customer. So what we have used is we have used Clouds on a 3.5. So that's one of the stable model in giving a reasonable textual response based upon the user input. And then we use the prompt engineering and the inject necessary of knowledge base wherever it requires, because the key part in the knowledge base is the industry that what we are in travel is having a lot of acronyms. So let's say, for example, Dubai has been called as DXP in the terms. So we had to feed in all the required airport codes and the airline codes to make the knowledge base thicker, and it really helps in for the LLM to understand what is really the mean for DXP and so. So here, knowledge base is also playing a key role in there. So we use return of control instead of the agent calling it. So we use Boto 3 and then the return of control, a function which takes the response from the API, and then the API is being processed with multiple chunks, and then it pushed it to the LLM as the customer used to see that one. So we have also used the invocation input functional details. So it also takes in the parameter of the prompt plus the knowledge base and the conversation which is done in previous to give a follow-up messages. So in the whole subject, how did we convert our POC into a product, and what are the issues that we have faced fundamentally is the main issue that we faced is the latency. You all know that the travel industry, when you shop between Dubai to London, you might be getting quite a lot of offers response, like 2,000 plus offers from the different airline fly in between. So how do you actually push all the messages into LLM? So it can't be possible. So you have to convert that into multiple chunks, and the multiple chunks into a paginated responses. So that's exactly what we do in behind the screen. So we know our customer is asking for a leisure travel or he asking for a business travel. So based on that, we push the personalized response back to the user interface, and from there, the user can take a multiple conversation like, okay, I want to have a baggage, I want to have a free check-in, and so on. So based on the conversation is built, and you get the exact response what is he looking for. So that's the latency part is the key thing that we have solved. And then there are several APIs as to be performed in for a simple auto create behind the screen. So our engine takes care of handling that multiple orchestrated APIs in a pipeline, and then brings the proper response back into the customer. So again, the JSON formatting, and most importantly, the IATA codes. So we built in all the required codes, the equivalent abbreviations into the knowledge base, and feed it to the LLM. So these are the issues that we faced, and we have overcome that all in our journey to convert a POC into a productionized application. So I've told much about the agent codes, how did we set it up, and the prompt engineering and so. Yeah, this has also been covered. So we have the JSON formatting and the IATA codes. These are the issues that we have faced and brought into a foolproof solution. Yes, let's see the trip caption in action. This is not just another chat engine. It is a so interactive user interface that we built on top of the chat. So it's not just a text. So we have given a rich content experience, and the customer would feel the whole travel experience in very slick. So that's the value that we give to our customer. So the value is not just a chat. It's a full future interaction with the LLM. So you feed in the required travel destination and the feeds. So you will see the list of offers, and you can see all this. So basically, customer has to filter and choose and things like that in the legacy UI. So in here in the chat, so you can ask for your filter. You can ask for the option, and you can ask in specific, like, okay, I wanted to go for an evening trip, and I want to go for a morning trip, or I want a nil baggage. So it brings in everything that you need. So behind the screen, there are a lot of polling messages for offers that is kept for the customer based upon the conversation that he is actually making it with the LLM. So that gives a paginated response will also flow in as and when he narrows down the request that what is he looking for. So suggest for an afternoon flight with baggage. So it again brings a response. So until you find what he's really looking for, he doesn't have to click through, you just have to ask it. So here is the details, and you could see that we have brought in the whole rich media experience for the customer to really have a value of what they see is what they're going to buy. So again, if they wanted to have further changes in the offer pricing, which is actually bringing you the final, so you can make changes in any point of the whole travel journey. So here is the offer. The customer just click on the passenger details and then continue for the booking. Yeah. Right. We just didn't stop with the chat. So we extended our chat and connect the whole Bedrock engine to a WhatsApp Business API. So how is it help for our travel is when a customer is making a booking, so you feed in his personal details, including the mobile number, because that is so important for him. If there is any disruption happening in the airline, I mean, they will allow to push him a separate offer to announce that there is a disruption happen. You want to go for another offer, or you want to go for a cancellation, and so. So we actually utilized that all input from the passenger and feed it back to the Bedrock and the agent. So it just pushed the offer when there is a disruption happens, and the customer can actually choose from the WhatsApp, because it become very easy for the customer to look at the WhatsApp and see, okay, what's the real disruption happened, rather than calling a travel agent or going to the website and see, like, really, what is the change that I have to do in. So it becomes so easy for the customer and the experience to actually choose the option of the alternate flight in WhatsApp. And not just there prior to departure, we also use pushing an offer for upgrade and pushing an offer for an cross-sell for if they're looking for another travel component, not just the air. So we have utilized the agent in a way that it all orchestrate and talk each other based upon the travel dates and so. So that's the beauty about the whole Bedrock and the agent orchestration that TPConnects has brought in as an innovation within our platform. So the key takeaway is really the customer experience, the simplified servicing, because if you go to any travel agency, so they will take quite a lot of steps before they do a reissue or anything. So the servicing is ever made simple in this chat. That's the key in there. And then the sorting and the filtering, okay, you just have to look all the menus across it. Okay, you just can ask it here. That's the simplicity we bring in. And we're just not stopping in there. So we're also introducing a kiosk-based mission where you can talk with the LLM, and we are using Nova Sonic. The Nova Sonic, the voice engine, is going to take user input by voice and then convert that into equivalent function calls in the behind, and then the traveler's experience will be much beyond that. So anybody who have running a brick and mortar travel agency could actually make an iPod into speaking with the travel agents, so they can make the whole booking seamless with the kiosk system. So that's another thing that we are working at. And how did we use our AWS support? So thank you so much for the AWS in actually helping in all the hurdles that we face across the whole system building. It's been like 3-4 months we've been back and forth with the AWS team to get to know about all the engines and stuff. So the value and the trust, this is all exactly what we give to our customers, and that's exactly what in turn that AWS given back to us. Thank you so much.